Hey guys, I'm Connor Hans, and welcome to Enhance Pickleball. Today we're going to go over 5 universally agreed upon laws of pickleball strategy. These are strategic guidelines that every pickleball player should know if they ever want to have any chance at getting to a higher level. Generally, as you increase the level of a player, the more strictly they'll follow these rules. Make sure to go through all of these to ensure that you're on the right track in terms of how you're developing your game. But first, before I get into them, just note, while these are universally agreed upon strategic guidelines, there are some exceptions to these rules. So don't be a troll and go and comment on every situation where these don't make sense. I'm going to go through these rules in the order that a point progresses. So without further ado, let's get into the laws. So the first law of pickleball is that you should always look to come forward off of your return. Looking at the returning team, the reason that your partner is standing up there is so that you can go there and meet them, not so that you can pick daisies and hang at the baseline. But seriously, the reason that you have an advantage when you're returning in pickleball is that you can be the first team to come in. If you stay back, you're just wasting an opportunity to be the first aggressor in the point. Sometimes when there's one player back, this can be worse than having both players back. Because if the player that's back hits a weak shot, then the net's just an easy target. If your opponent makes this mistake, make sure that you hit to the person that's back so you can take advantage of their poor positioning. So the reason that I say you should look to come in off the return is because there may be some situations where you may not want to come in off the return every time. The main reason that you wouldn't want to come in is if your opponent hits a super deep serve and you don't feel like you have enough time to make it in to get situated for their next shot. If this happens, that's fine, but you should still look to move forward after the next ball. Another reason that people choose not to come in is because they hit a short return and they feel like they're going to get attacked. I think in most situations, you should still come in if you hit a short return, but it could make sense sometimes to stay back if you don't feel like you have enough time. Overall though, you should always look to move forward after your return. If you're in an aggressive position in pickleball, then the best spot to be in the whole court is right behind the kitchen line. The second law of pickleball is that when you're serving, you should look to move forward after your third shot. The issue with this is, if your opponents are both following the first law, they should both be at the kitchen by the time that you hit this shot. This is why most players decide to use the drop on their third shot, where they try to hit the ball into the kitchen so that they can follow it in. Either way, if your opponents are both up and you and your teammate are both back, you aren't going to be able to do that much damage. Unless you're significantly better than them,
I'm the best ever.
You need to move forward so that you can level the playing field and try to win the point from the kitchen. That's not to say that you should just hit your third shot and rush in immediately every time. You need to make sure that you hit an effective drop or drive if you're going to be successful moving forward. If you come in after hitting a bad drop or drive, you may end up getting body bagged. Knowing when you should move forward and when you should stay back is a huge part of becoming a better pickleball player. Ideally, if you hit a good drop or drive, both you and your partner should recognize this and you should try to move forward. If one of you hits a bad drop or drive, then you should both stay back and try to do a better job on the next shot. Essentially, just because you're looking to move forward doesn't mean that you should immediately move forward after every third shot. You need to be smart about when you should and when you shouldn't come in. That being said, if you're the serving team and both of your opponents are at the kitchen, you should always look to move forward after your third shot. Now we move on to our third law, but first, let's see an example of what we should never do. Alright, back to the third law. The third law of pickleball is that if you and your partner are both at the kitchen and the other team is both back, then you should do what you can to try to keep them back. Essentially, you don't want them to level the playing field by making their way up to the kitchen. You should do what you have in your power to make it very difficult for them to move forward. This means that you should hit your volleys hard and deep so that it's trickier for them to hit a good drop. If both of the opposing players are at the baseline, generally, the deeper that you hit the shot, the more effective that you'll be in keeping them back. If they start to move forward though, it may not make the most sense to aim all the way for the baseline. Once the players move up and they're in the transition zone, your goal should change to be to try and hit the ball at their feet. In this situation, if we were to hit the ball all the way to the baseline, then we'd just be giving them an easy volley. If we go at the feet, we're making it as difficult as we can so that they might pop up the shot and give us a ball that we can kill. In the event that your opponents do make it up to the kitchen, that's totally fine. You're just going to have to try and win the point on a level playing field. This is inevitably going to happen at some point. So it's important that you've practiced your dinks, volleys, and speed ups for when you get into these situations. That being said, we should try our best to prevent our opponents from coming in so that we can win as many points as we can like this.
He is 6'3".
Hey, he looks like he's about 6'5", too, and the wingspan, Melissa, something to behold.
Absolutely.
How about this?
All right, on to the fourth law of pickleball strategy. The fourth law of pickleball strategy is that unless you're hitting a lob, it's almost always better to try to keep the ball as low as you can. In most situations, higher balls will be easier for your opponents to control, and they'll have more opportunities to be aggressive on them. When you keep the ball low, you're giving yourself the best chance to be set up with a higher and easier ball on the next shot. This is why pros spend countless hours drilling their dinks, drops, and drives. Keeping the ball low is the name of the game. That being said, when you keep the ball low, you need to make sure that you're giving yourself some margin for error. If we just try to hit the ball as low as possible, we would end up missing a ton of shots in the net. Because of this, generally you want to aim the shot 6 inches to a foot over the net, depending on what shot you're trying to hit. Don't quote me on this though, because if you're not accurate enough to keep the ball low consistently, you may need to raise your targets a little. Taking margin into account, in most cases, the lower that you can keep the ball, the better. This is why if you watch the pros, it seems like everything that they hit is barely making it over the net. These types of shots make it very difficult for the opposing team to be aggressive. So the moral of the story for this fourth law is that you should generally try to do what you can to keep the ball low over the net. Consistently hitting higher shots is never a good idea, unless you're trying to get hit in the face. So the fifth and final law of pickleball strategy is, when in doubt, hit the ball into the kitchen. To be more specific, if both of your opponents are standing at the kitchen line and you don't have a good look at a shot that you can be aggressive on, your best bet is to drop the ball back into the kitchen so that you can either move forward or try to be more aggressive on the next shot. This applies both at the baseline and when you're at the kitchen with them. Think about it. If you're at the back hitting a third shot, unless you have an easier ball, you're going to want to drop it into the kitchen so that you can move forward. Once you get to the kitchen line, your best bet is to dink it into the kitchen until you get a better opportunity. In another situation, if both teams are up and your opponent's being aggressive, sometimes your best defense is to just drop the ball back into the kitchen. By hitting the ball into the kitchen, you're keeping the rally in a neutral position. And if your opponent's being aggressive, you can reset the tempo of the point. By hitting the ball into the kitchen while you're back, you're giving yourself the opportunity to move forward. Unless you have a good look to drive the ball, then this is your best option when you're at the baseline. Wherever you are on the court, if your opponents are up and you don't have a good look at the ball, the kitchen is your best option. If you have any questions, please comment them below. And if you want to learn the top 5 drills that the pros use so that they can follow these laws, watch this.